Welcome to Talk Design Podcast, the space where creativity meets conversation. I'm Adrian Ramsey, your host, and as someone deeply entrenched in the world of design, I'm thrilled to introduce you to the minds that inspire me, in the hope that they will spark something special within you too. From a design past crafting women's swimwear to pushing the boundaries of performance sportswear, from mountaineering to international yachting, to implementing systematic innovation solutions that transcend boundaries in aerospace industry. My heart remains rooted in architecture, and exploring the emotional tapestry woven by built spaces is my fascination. My journey in design has been what can only be described as a life of design. I want to thank you for lending me your ears. I'm eager to embark on this next episode together. My guest on Talk Design today is Andrea Keller. Now, Andrea is an architect. She's based in Joshua Tree, and she escaped from LA. If they find her, they'll take her back. Her company is 4D Design, and there's a whole lot of meaning that's hidden in those simple little letters about 4D Design. We're going to unwrap a whole lot of that. We've just been talking, and I don't even really know where to start, but I'm going to try and start with just who are you, of course. But Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And as you know, I've been a fan for years, so I listen to your voice often as I drive to LA, and I just love your passion for design.
Oh, thank
And
you.
to be finally connected just made my day, made my week, and I'm so
Oh,
happy
well,
to be here.
we'll give the connection route to how this happened. So Mercedes, who's on the podcast, she's from Texas, and she caught my eye because I'm always looking at rammed earth. And Mercedes caught my eye because here's this woman who's a contractor. She's shoveling dirt and stuff. And I'm like, woman in contracting, woman in architecture, and the balance of these things is shifting. But not so much in construction, but certainly in architecture. And I think what happens and what it brings is amazing. And then she's walking around going, this stuff's bulletproof. And I'm like, no, only in Texas. God help us. And then I'm like, you know what? I have to talk to her. So I reached out to her and spoke to her. And then she introduced me to the guys at Firewall, Michael and Joss. And then from them, Michael introduces me to you. But I've got Michael working on a project here in Australia. And just the threads of connection. I love it. Was meant to happen. And I can't believe
Yeah,
it didn't happen
obviously.
earlier. And the funny thing with all that is with rammed earth being kind of the thread that it happened through, is it's going to tie back into everything that gets said here from this point on about how we live better with nature and how nature lives better with us if we, I suppose, allow ourselves. So I'm excited about that. So let's kick off. You born in LA?
I was born in New
Well,
York, and
oh,
we moved when I was little, but I remember pretty much every day of my life. I remember, even at 2, 3 years old, the streets, the bricks, the trolley cars. And we moved to Los Angeles that was developing. So my father, who's Swiss, my mother's
yeah.
American, thought, this is amazing. Look at this land, but I thought it was like a pile of dirt. Now it's very landscaped and, posh or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was really struck by the absence of context
Mhm.
and absence of architecture. And
Mhm.
I already cared even at age 3. I felt quite alienated by the physical environment. And this is part of what led me to go to school back east and study in Europe, trying to get back that which I didn't have growing up because I was in the
Yeah,
Wild West,
wow.
riding motorcycles and catching snakes and stuff.
So yeah, I'm going to come back and ask questions. Keep going, keep going. Tell me more.
So, and I think you mentioned Montessori, maybe for your
Yeah,
family. So
yeah.
my parents were into Steiner.
We've got a
They
Steiner school just close to us.
So they did not believe in traditional toys, but we learned by doing. So I learned woodworking, electrical wiring, baking, sewing, gardening, bricklaying, instead of having toys, and we didn't watch
Uh-huh.
TV. This is also very weird in LA to grow up like this. And when I was 7 years old, I was in Washington, D.C., walking in a building, and I saw the building move around me as I walked up the stairs, and I knew that I would be an architect. And the thought
Really?
just never left me. I just saw that as you rose up the stairs, like the change in the sectional quality,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you call it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna make stairs like this. And then I
Wow.
never spoke about it again. I never had the conversation. I never doubted. It was told to me that that's what I was going to do. So
Yeah,
here
wow.
we are.
Wow. Isn't that incredible? I mean, as you said, you've listened to my podcast. There's some of the funniest stories about how people become architects, like right down to it was the first word I understood on the curriculum kind of thing. I didn't understand it, but I knew what it meant. And I didn't like the
Yeah,
look of the other ones. And so it
right.
was in the A's. So I ended up being an architect. And,
That's so funny.
yeah. And then, I thought it was this, but it actually turned up being this. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. That sort of the journey to it's fascinating. And one of the things that go right back to the New York thing that you were saying, like even as that really young child, something that I've just experienced is I've got a 22-year-old daughter who is currently in Paris. She should be on a plane. Her name's Paris and she's in Paris. She should be on a plane home, but she sprained her ankle, so she's got an extra couple of days in Paris. But with it, she last year just went off and solo traveled. Now she's traveled with us as a family lots. And in solo traveling, she of course is like keeping in touch with her dad.
Mhm.
And she would send me photos from Valencia or she'd send me photos from these towns. And the realization for her that architecture actually creates community and it creates beauty in the space and it creates a place for people to come to as much as it creates individual shelter and well-being or not well-being, as the case may be. And that you go to these places because there is resources there and you go there because it's beautiful or you go there because it delivers something to you. And architecture is responsible for that because it's
Mhm.
where people gather and it creates a place within a place. And that clarity, that's New York. Otherwise, it
Yeah,
would have been a beautiful island with beautiful
well, and
Indian
I
people.
I really think that the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is wrong because it talks about shelter as the most foundational, and I actually think a sense of belonging is more important. And often
Ooh.
people will spend their last dollar to, let's say, buy a piece of clothing or a watch that will give them status, that will help them find a mate or to fit in with a crowd. It's like
Ooh.
belonging to something is more important. And because architecture isn't doing that, the American public will get wrapped up in like the Marvel universe
Yeah, they'll
instead.
go. Yeah, they
And I was
will.
like, no, okay, that's great. I love your passion, but now let's talk about the built environment and design, which we all should
So
understand and live and breathe.
to go back to that thing of belonging, and we had an off-recorded chat just before around trends, and we had a thing around neurodivergency as well, and where people belong, where their tribe is, where they connect on another level with people. We can connect on a level because we both draw pictures of houses, and they
Mhm.
both get built on the dirt or in a tree or something, I don't know, wherever. But what it is that then we can connect beyond that. That's a conversation, that's like, oh, and then there's whether we'll connect or not, or how deeply we can connect. And I suppose most people, their first point of connection is their family and probably their early memory built space because their sympathetic nervous system would be looking for surety
Mhm.
somewhere in there, beyond just their mother's protection.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
was having this conversation with Paula Baker Laporte yesterday around, so we're seeing like about 50-50 in male female entering the world of architectural studies. And I said to her, so do you reckon that out of the 50-50 that are entering, that maybe around 10% of the females will go on to do digitally built space only
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
never anything that's ever physically built in reality in the world. And men, I reckon it will be over 30% will stay in the digitally built space where
Mhm.
women will actually take the lead on for a period of time. And I say a period, I reckon it could be maybe 50 years or something, they will take the lead on the actual physical built space as we
Mhm.
transfer ourselves, I'm going to say, to Mother Earth, as
Mhm.
we more get connected with Mother Earth. So it'll be that feminine energy that well, men have got it as well, but that feminine energy that's going to become more attuned. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, the stats are still kind of terrible. So I think only 20% of licensed architects in the United States are women. It's kind of notoriously hard. And often, it's quite often that people will marry an architect and maybe the husband will get his license, but the woman won't, but she'll still work in architecture, but not take her boards. I had an all-female office for about 15 years, just trying to kind of fix the stats on this. And I want exactly that, the balance.
Well,
Because you see people who are afraid to speak up. I mean, in architecture school, I did not do well in architecture school. I mean, you talk about how people end up. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but everybody told me to quit and to stop doing it.
really?
I mean, my whole life, I have multiple teachers who took me aside and said, I do not think you have what it takes to
Yeah.
do this.
No,
And
jury's
I
out.
I have built hundreds of buildings more than them, and not that I'm counting, and
Secretly counting, just keeping
yeah, just,
a
a
back record.
little
Yeah, a
notebook
little.
here. And I mean, at one point, architecture's hard to grasp. It took me years. I took 2 years off of college because I wasn't understanding the concepts. And I said, my brain isn't mature enough. I haven't seen enough of the world. And I just left and I went to Florence, Italy, and I stayed and I worked in Switzerland and then ended up going back and working in Rome. And I was like, I just need to absorb culture because I don't understand the framework. I'm a late bloomer, I guess. But anyway, I didn't quit. Is what but,
When you say you went back there to understand the framework, obviously Europe is probably one of the easier places to do it because they've got a long history and built structure that still lasts, that's still there. And whereas if you go to say like Asia or something, there is some, but a lot of it's lightweight structures that are in jungles and stuff like that that don't last, other than the stone structures. And if you go to say something like New Zealand, where maybe it was, I mean, in the last 200 years, maybe it was being populated. Otherwise, it was just full of Kiwis and birds and, like the odd
yeah.
lizard. Yeah. But whereas Australia, you've got this incredibly old land, like, really, really old land. And it's First Nations people. I think I think somebody just watered the land and they grew out of it. I don't know where they came from as such, but they are one of the most ancient, human races in the world. So, but they didn't build anything that we can go back and see. They drew some pictures on, rocks and stuff like that, but they didn't actually build lasting structures. Whereas Europe, they've got that. And in the Americas, yes, there is some. So yeah, when you go and you said you could dive back into Europe and stuff, or you listed all the European countries, is that why you can do it there and get that sense of time and space, but in a physical thing? Because I could take you to, Uluru, the big rock in the middle here,
Mhm.
and you will get in, the sense that you will get will never
Mhm.
leave you. And I've been
Right.
in Africa, and there's places in Africa that I always say to people, once you've walked on the soil in Africa, it owns you and you own it.
I totally agree. Yeah.
You can't remove yourself from it.
Mhm.
And that's just in the land, not
Mhm.
not
Right.
not in a built structure. It's
Mhm.
just yeah,
Mhm.
and certainly there's lots of parts of Australia that feel like that. There's parts all around the world that feel like that, but there's in these old lands like those European continent pieces and parts of the Americas and seems to be often desert areas, and maybe that's just my experience of it. Like parts of Spain and parts of Italy where
Mhm.
it's dry and yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. You tell me.
Joshua Tree too.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. You're living right on top of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the time, and it's changed a bit, but the US education system grew out of the English,
Of
which kind
course.
of came out of this, you know,
Mhm.
Western framework. So they kind of, which is terrible, and they don't do this anymore, but they kind of, Egypt and Greece
Yeah.
and Rome and kind of as things filtered through, and that's kind of the cultural heritage, at least at the time. And so they were talking about frameworks, and what I didn't understand is you might present an emotion or something that the building was supposed to do, and then they responded with a kit of actions,
So
which
give
had
me
to do
give
with,
me some examples. Like
well, certain
I
things like
think I'm with you, but I'm inventing my own shit in my head, and I could be completely off
well,
track.
like order is a huge one. Like
Uh-huh.
order, like is it symmetrical? Is it asymmetrical? Are you
Hmm.
repeating columns? Column
Hmm.
suggests order in the universe. I
Hmm.
identify that as separate from kind of the chaos
Hmm.
of a wild forest, let's say. Proportion was very important. We came to understand certain proportions.
Yeah, like
And
the golden ratio and things like
yeah,
this.
all of
Yeah,
that. I mean, and
yeah.
actually all my work, this is the lasting stuff that I picked up. I wanted to understand the construct that I was in at school, which I didn't. So I went and just immersed myself for all day, every day. You're seeing, you're understanding, you're getting the
Hmm.
explained version of
Hmm.
this is how this is working. And then you're like, oh, I get it. So I
Right.
came to understand how buildings work. Like the plan is how you move around, but the section really controls how you feel and kind of your emotion and like the landscape of the ceiling, which is wondrous, but your feet can never cross it.
Yeah.
And so I deeply understood buildings. And what's funny is at the end of the day, in my own practice, I have thrown away the construct because I no longer agree with the way that I was taught. But I had to go to a place where reading the city was like reading a book.
Okay.
And all those things that I learned. Yeah, the value of repetition. I ended up doing
Hmm.
restaurant design. So, right. So,
Hmm.
like the magic of booth, booth, booth. All these people are in public having the same experience, but separately, and kind of the
Hmm.
magic of that. And then
Hmm.
almost like this culty, like when you hear a rhythm of a dance song, do, do, do.
Hmm.
Restaurants, the same thing, booth, booth, booth. There's like a buy-in,
Yeah, right.
right? It's
Right.
entrainment. So it was about understanding human psychology and how architecture can trigger emotions. Because for me, it's not about the lines, it's about the emotions produced. It's like Lao Tzu. It's not about the basket, it's by what's contained within it.
Oh, damn, we're
So,
getting deep really quick. We're in Lao
well,
Tzu
tiny philosophy.
already.
We're just getting started. We're really
Yeah,
just getting.
exactly. If you're not keeping up, give up now. Go and listen to something else. Yeah, right. That thing of allowing yourself, but your
Mhm.
mind also is going, I mean, at this incredible rate. I mean, you talking now, your mind goes at an incredible rate, and I'm going, so your, I want to say consciousness or openness or presence to be able to absorb it, learnt or just you were born with it?
I think I learned it. And actually I was terrible at drawing my whole life. I never had drawing classes.
Yeah.
And I learned and now I can draw a photorealistic building sitting because I just spent so many hours because I wanted it so badly. I don't feel like
Right.
I was given the gifts. I
Hmm.
think I felt that I needed to do this and the whole process was, difficult, painful, but there was this inevitability that I need to understand how buildings interact with us in order to do something like that I'm on a mission, kind
Yeah.
of, which I didn't know that I was on a mission before, and I was just trying to fit in, which I was terrible at fitting in. But now I know exactly what my mission is.
Yeah.
But to get
Wow.
back to your belonging question, imagine if you knew that all the houses on the neighborhood, they're not all the same, but
Uh-huh.
that house belongs to you because it reflects you back at you. And
Uh-huh.
not only you, but the highest, most beautiful, most powerful, healthiest version of you. And that's the feeling that your house inspires.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, how would
I
your life
bet you
be?
so many other people would walk past somebody else's house and believe it would be better than theirs.
So,
Because they,
but I mean,
because their houses don't reflect it back to them.
well, hopefully by the end of this podcast, everyone will have decided to
That it's
make
worth
their
making the house.
environment.
Yeah.
Because, and I think, there's a lot of kind of cures and health treatments that let's say
Hmm.
you do a sound bath and you might be relaxed for the whole
Hmm.
day or for a couple days,
Hmm.
or you have a very healthy meal and you feel the effects of that for a couple days. Architecture is pretty much permanent. And you look at, all the things the Roman Empire could have done with all their money, and they're like,
Hmm.
you know what? Architecture.
Let's build shit. Yeah.
And people are still in line to go
Hmm.
to these spaces. Their intention is still radioing out thousands of years later.
Mm.
So, yes, architecture is expensive and design is expensive, but in a way it's not because what if it changes how you are, which is changes how you are at work, who you are as a person? What if it makes you healthier? You earn more money, you feel more powerful, you take more bold steps in
Yeah.
society
Yeah.
to make a better world.
You're in abundance as opposed to
Yeah.
scarcity.
So I always tell people, and people have this idea that they're going to make it and sell their company and then they're going to do their dream home. I said, you have this all backwards.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
do one wall now. Like it could just be the head wall of your bedroom or
Just
a
do
wall in
that.
your office. Just
Just
do one wall.
just
Start.
choose to start.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. You know, I've got several clients that have come to me and said, well, we've got this piece of land. Sometimes they don't even have the land. And they say, we need to draw the house. And I'm like, well, I need the land to draw the house, but let's just then choose what, if we don't have it yet, let's choose the elements that that land will have and
Hmm.
let's draw for that. And then
Hmm.
we break down that whole thing of, you know, what kind of view would they need? What kind of time of the day would the sun do? Where would it be? What would it be happening in it? You know, just breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down. What would it smell like? What would it smell like after it rained? You
Yeah.
know, all these different things. And then we draw something that is suitable for that land. And I say suitable, ideally better than suitable, but it's right for that land. And it's starting the story of them and that land.
Yeah.
And
And
then we will
celebrating.
come
Yeah.
back to it in 2 years' time when they go, we found the bit of land because they've envisaged it. They
Hmm.
know what they're looking for. They know what it sounds like, smells like,
Right.
feels like. That all that comes together because they've already put the vibrational energy in the right place to make it come together.
Exactly. Yes, I would
Yeah.
almost tell everyone draw your dream house now because also, as you know, it takes years to get a design right,
Uh-huh.
especially if you're coming from zero background.
Hmm.
You think you want something because you saw a picture of Rick Rubin's house or, whatever.
I want
And
Rick Rubin's house. Yeah.
well, I'm a maximalist and I need a handbook. But it's start there and you then sit with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
meant to be intellectual. You're supposed to feel this with your gut and have multiple things in front of you or use Pinterest.
Hmm.
I encourage people to use Pinterest all the time. Start to find your aesthetic style, and every time you visit, throw stuff out, add new things, have it be a
Hmm.
design journey.
Hmm.
Well, just like the work that you do to open people to design, there is not a
Hmm.
person on this planet who it's okay to not understand design. We have to. We
Oh.
live it.
Well,
We live it.
this is going to be this point that, you know, like I mean, you've probably heard me say it before. If it wasn't designed by nature, it's designed by us. And
Yeah.
for the most part, we've done a really shitty job of just
Yeah.
getting it across the line. And
Yeah.
we've ruined a lot of what nature had doing
Hmm.
that. Just, you know,
Hmm.
humans just getting it across the line. And then you go back to what you just said about, you know, the Roman Empire, and they actually built things with intention and
Hmm.
probably you're going to tell me this for sure. I feel it coming. But the geometry that they used to build it wasn't by accident. It
No,
wasn't, oh yeah, we'll
not
just do
one
that.
hair. I mean, yeah.
No, everything was deliberate, and it's sort of like it makes me think of, say, a Buddhist mandala as well.
Mhm.
And you know, everything about that is precision, and it's engaging energy into it, and it's taking the time to do it. You know how they throw them out.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
impermanent, so then they wash
Yeah.
it away and
Yeah.
set it free into the universe with all the
Hmm.
intention. I go, you know, that Roman kind of thing, like you said, people are lining up to be in it, see it, feel it now, right
Hmm.
across all the Roman Empire. Anything that's left, which there's plenty of, people are drawn to it. And then the same in Cambodia and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like, you know, wherever there's spiritual, think of Machu Picchu. We've got no
Right.
idea how that shit got done.
Hmm. Hmm.
We just know that it's there and that every rock's different, but they all fit like you couldn't put a piece of paper between them.
Right.
You know? So we marvel at it, but the energy that it carries is beyond the marvel of it.
Right. But
Unless
I
you're
think,
just doing the selfie, you know.
yeah. Exactly. So many of those.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it is, it's intentionality. And when you're building a site like that, you treat every stone and every dimension as if it's sacred. Like it all has to match the intention. It all has to be part of this carefully crafted narrative. You're not going to take shortcuts in a Roman aqueduct,
Not
you
if you
know,
want water
or
at the other end.
right, or yeah, or or this temple, because you see it's like no, every part reflects the whole, every whole reflects the part, every bit of craftsmanship as important as the whole thing, which is in alignment with
Mm.
nature. We live in
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
fractal universe. We won't go there just yet,
Yeah, we'll
but
get there, but we're not there yet.
but it's intentionality. So imagine if in your house you treated it the same way. And most people did not design or build their own home. And that's okay. We're going to start with the things we can do. Just be intentional about what is the carpet? What is the geometry of the carpet? How does the furniture, start to match that? Does it
Mhm.
match your lifestyle?
Mhm.
People just say, oh, yeah, you just put a couch along the big wall. There's no intentionality.
Mhm.
But it's just like, I almost talk like manifestation. Like architecture is a literal manifestation of an
Mhm.
idea because it's a physical action, aligned action taken following an idea,
Mhm.
right? So the Romans was about this perfection, this connection to the universe, this strength, and everything followed that. I mean, that it's like it comes
Yeah.
true.
So
So
go.
I actually,
Oh, go.
yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, I just think architecture is literally a manifestation tool. But it's like yeah, let's do that.
So, so then take it to say the Egyptians, and again, like look at what they did with architecture. I mean, they built the Sphinx, they built the pyramids, they built these monumental things. Yeah, I don't know. Did they just live in tents and stuff themselves? No, they didn't. They lived in like earth structures. But
Well,
yeah,
I think
like
well, I think the common thread is when a building is for a government or a church,
uh,
then it's built of a higher quality and it tends to be built with intention. And then the houses we live in is considered to be vernacular. And I'm always shocked by this. So I said, so sacred geometry matters if it's a government building, but as soon as it's your home, you can throw it out the window. I was like, it should really be the other way around, actually, because your home has the capacity to essentially be a battery and restore you
yeah.
and to build you up. It like to function as like an amplifier or capacitor.
Um,
But well, and
oh,
also even the conversation around sacred geometry. I mean, it's poo-pooed. People think you have a lot of crystals and wear capes if you talk about it. But the US Capitol building has sacred geometry in every inch,
mm-hmm,
every stone. There is
mm-hmm.
not a government building on this land that
That
wasn't designed.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yep.
But isn't that, like, isn't there a conspiracy theory there that was so they could
Oh,
control
totally.
them? Yeah. That's,
Well, it was more
no.
about, yeah, the Freemasons who
Yeah.
controlled the
Yeah.
even all of that. But I mean, but they did have the knowledge that did come from Europe. It was related to the Romans. It was related
Well,
to the Gothic. It's
just
just
take that actually as a really interesting point. Take Freemasonry. And,
Mhm.
it was the work of the people who built. It was they put stones on top of stones to
Mhm.
create structures. And I'm not a Freemason. However, I look at it and I go, it rose to, I want to say, a cult kind of control thing, but it was a
Mhm.
way of sharing the sacred geometry. I'm not quite
Mhm.
sure why they kept women out of it, but maybe so they didn't get found out. Who knows? I don't know. But maybe it was just because the boys wanted a club.
Yeah, I
I
think they
don't know.
wanted to have a drink and conspire and give their buddy the job to build the railroad. And I think
And it worked.
it's yeah, and it did work. I mean, you look at the US, which was the Wild West,
Yeah.
they relied on these fraternal organizations
Mhm.
to, develop cities and build power and transfer wealth and all that stuff.
And
But they
Rome did
were,
the same. Like the,
yeah.
the Roman
Oh,
Empire
yeah.
was the same. Yeah.
Yeah. People are always
Mm.
the same.
Human
But
nature.
they did hold the knowledge and passed it down. But what ended up happening is the knowledge became less important than kind of the signifiers
Then the
and
club.
yeah, and like, the two columns on the side signaling duality and the seven steps and the black and white checkered
Yeah.
floor and the stuff. And lost in that somehow was just the wonder of geometry. I mean, geometry is free. I mean, you don't need to be a mason to understand it. And
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's
possibly you need to, there's an opportunity to understand it more deeply by
yeah.
researching it and immersing yourself in it. Definitely
Yeah.
there is, because
Mhm.
I have this, when we talk about geometry or even scale, I hand draw. And I will kind of give myself a little map of size that I've got to fit into, just so that that's just so I don't waste too much time. But then everything is just hand drawn as line form, really simple to start with. What would do this? What would do this? What would that do? And then I'm trying to think of the greater environment at the time. But then I take that and I start to, once I've started to work that through, then I work to actual scale and pull that alignment into scale because I trust my artistic brain to get the balance and the weight right versus the, how am I going to say, my analytical brain to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start with my artistic brain, and then I'll move from my artistic brain to my analytical brain for actuals at the end of the day. But yeah, I find that piece really interesting around, you can learn it. And especially one of the things I say to people a lot, they say, I want to be an architect. And I go, oh, okay. Why do you want to do that? Is it for a business reason? Or is it because you feel the need to leave a legacy on the earth? Or why would you want to do it? And they all have different reasons. And they say, so what do I do to become an architect? And I go, well, you go to school, but before you go to school, my suggestion to you would be to buy a pencil and a nice sketch pad and go and draw 100 buildings in detail. Draw every detail. Find old buildings, find new buildings, find houses, do that, and then do the same with landscapes. And just draw the detail. And you'll learn construction through drawing detail. And you will also learn how things are layered and how the light works in it. And if you can get through a few hundred of those to start with, you'll make the decision whether you want to do architecture or not beyond that. Because you'll either get there or not get there. And if you don't get there, don't do it.
Yeah.
Go and build game sites on the internet or whatever.
Very beautiful advice and very well put.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a teacher who did that and just, well, in Florence, Italy, instead of looking at a slide, you go to the building.
Yeah.
So it was like Brunelleschi, Alberti, whatever. And sometimes 8 hours a day, freezing in a church, no measuring utensils, no tapes. They didn't have lasers, and it was just seeing geometry and draw, plan, section, elevation, detail, plan, section, and I hated it and I complained and it was cold and I was uncomfortable. But what I got is when I walk into a room now that has the golden section or a sphere, I can see it without anyone. It's like I see it in space.
Yeah.
Because my eyes learned to seize the geometry.
Yeah, wow. How awesome.
Because if you do it long enough, I think it would happen to anyone.
Oh, absolutely. It's a practice. You've learned it. You've learned it, but not have you only learned it, you've embodied it. And now from embodying it, it becomes the driving foundation for how you view everything. It becomes that layering. Yeah. I think it's fascinating. I mean, you should just be running amazing tours with people to come on your tour. It's like, no, go away and do 2 more years work and then you can come. You're not ready yet because the level that you're talking at.
It's a deep dive.
Yeah. We can let you see that one over there and that will probably fill you up. If you're interested beyond that, we'll know because you'll have done all these other things and then you'll be back here knocking on the door saying, can I come in, please? Or we'll have found you, Yeah, it's that thing of, I want to just say connection, and I'm doing it like this, it's this, vertical connection that when things start to drop in and you start just putting a piece. You said before about the emotions and we talked before we started recording about Thomas Heatherwick and Human Eyes and these emotional studies that are being done on how architecture affects emotion, and we know it affects emotion. Frank Lloyd Wright, we'll compress them, we'll release them, we'll put the light over here, we'll drag them towards not drag them, they'll drag themselves towards the light. They bent down. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, you'll crawl, but you'll go. And Frank wasn't very tall, so those kind of things are where that emotion is definitely, architecture evokes emotion. Brutalism versus, say, mid-century, these levels of the way architecture evokes emotion. And it speaks to different people in different environments and in different contexts, depending where they're at in their life. I want to go two ways on this. I want you to tell me about the emotional part. And then I just did a podcast a little while ago with a lovely lady, Helen Morecambe. And with that, we were talking about biorhythms. So male biorhythms being 24 hours long, female biorhythms being 28 days long. And I want to see where we can cross into that depth of understanding of both those pieces as well. Go for it. Tell me about emotional and architecture, because I do a thing called an emotional floor plan, and I know I'm about to learn a whole lot here. So when I'm looking down, I'm writing.
Well, I love even your approach to trust intuition. You think about, like Mies was not trusting intuition. I mean, he had it, obviously, he had an aesthetic, but it was all about line. And they were like pushing experiments. And I think modernism was a valid experiment, and it's good that it happened. It's good that it's fading away. But sometimes I'll look at a floor plan. Yes, we have constraints, we have setbacks, we have a budget, we have a rough size. We know what would be the correct kind of massing for a site. But I like to go back and almost do different layers on top of the plan. So I talk about kind of choreographing the life of different people. So I love to come into a smaller foyer and then open up into a brighter room, hallways to drop the ceilings, open to the bedroom. Where do you want that expansiveness, the contracted? I talk about it like a heartbeat. You can't just have one flat ceiling height.
You
It's
can.
like, well, you can. Yes, you can. But it's like, how is the energy going to move? It's like still water versus flowing. When you create a rhythm and architecture, well, this is how I got into the music thing. Like music, is experienced over time. It's a series of proportional relationships that are experienced over time. And as we individually walk through a structure, this is a story told in proportion, in volume, in texture, and tone and color. It's this beautiful story that you have to walk through to inhabit. I mean, I'm in love with architecture, obviously. But think about, we talk about this emotional floor plan. Exactly. Like I was recently, just a couple weeks ago, at an old plantation in Alabama, from the Revolutionary War. And we were doing the site plan, but we did five different versions. We did one about like the emotional aspects of the land. We
Hmm.
did another about kind of the mental things, which got into land use and boundaries and easements, and, one about kind of spiritual places. And then we combined all of these maps into one map at the end
Yeah.
because they push and pull, and it
Yeah.
can't just be intellectual. You have to be able to touch the other side and have that balance of the masculine and feminine energies. Like you said, I mean, obviously, both contained within us.
Hmm.
But the power that comes out from synergy, if you just have masculine only, it's like a battery with an anode and no cathode. Like it's not going to produce energy.
Yeah,
That's just
right.
not how energy works.
Yeah, okay. So I'm playing in my head here. It's spinning.
Sorry.
And no, it's good. It's really good because it's this thing that I always say to people, once we can understand your emotion and what that emotion, your definition of what that emotion means to you, then we can start shifting the space or the spatial space and obviously color, obviously where light comes from, obviously where breeze or air comes from. We can start shifting those things in there to give you your best moments. So, it might often, we'll pull it down to make it feel intimate. We'll expand it to make it feel freer. And then how do we do that in an expansive space? How do we pull you down to an intimate space? And, we can do that just even with lighting at night, but during the day, how do we do that? Where do we let the light fall from? What does it, does that irritate? Is it sunlight or daylight? What is it that you're getting? If it's sunlight, will it irritate you because, you'll have glare or whatever it is, whatever it is. And then we get to materiality and we go, is how much of a pollutant is noise?
Yeah.
Like, is it a
You paint
pollutant
down
or is it a
everything.
joy? how do we play these elements? And then when we start to play these elements, and then you go, a step beyond that, and you go, well, if we could give this, negative ions, so then, like rammed earth or something, and calm our sympathetic nervous system with it. Oh, we could do that with a clay plaster coating on this wall. We don't have to build a rammed earth wall, but we could use natural clay. Now it's just it's helping regulate the sound, but it's also regulating humidity. And it's feeding off negative ions into our space, which gives us calmness and security. And then you go, you just keep adding a
Layering.
piece, layering it down like this. And like that piece when you said before, just start with something.
Yeah.
And I take that and then go, you in Europe discovering the connection point between the discovery, your own feelings, your own emotional feelings, and then layering that to how will the architecture respond for the overriding mood that you need in that space or that you wish to have in that space. And they will go back to Maslow. Let's just say he was right, and it is, security is our first thing that we need. Then how does it give us that security that we're okay, that we don't have to run? We don't have to move that blood to those places. We can actually let it flow more gently through us. But I really do take that other point of we are tribal first and we are connection first. And yeah, so
Then you layer in the order. Like if you look at like the Pantheon, for example, in Rome, it's like an iconic building. It's just a portico and a sphere,
yep.
basically. If people don't know what building that is, it has the oculus in the center. The simplest of temples, right? So it's a perfect sphere contained within a box, and there's a portico on it. But even the order of the columns, that gives you a sense of security. So it's not physical security, someone can walk through it, but in a chaotic visual environment, you see those columns,
The
let alone
rhythm.
that they're monolithic, granite shipped from, Egypt or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But the rhythm that they were perfectly cut, that they're perfect replicas, this demonstrates strength and order, and that translates to a sense of like faith in the government or a sense of security, but also belonging. Like I belong to a culture that produces this, like there's something in this civic building
Safety. Yeah.
that reflects me. I live in the presence of and am guarded by essentially these buildings. But then other things, I mean, just to look at the simple buildings, there's a portico. When you enter the portico, you're neither inside the building or outside. You're in a
hmm
transition zone.
hmm
And then there's this whole magical thing, which we are lacking often in American houses, of like a threshold condition. Like you're not in, you're not out, and it's a magic, potent place because if you can enter into something, like kind of you change who you are, something in you changes and then you enter the next space rather than, oh, I just fell
hmm
into the living room, which is
hmm
very jarring.
I
In
always
Europe, they
think
have,
of in Palm Springs, you'll go through a gate and you enter a courtyard and you're transformed or you transition from outside to the behind the wall, but you're still in open air. And then the house is laid out as the courtyard is part of the house. And this isn't
yeah,
all Palm Springs houses, obviously, but
yeah, it's a good one. It's a
it's
really good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the ones we want. It's laid out like that, and then it becomes very transparent, and then your flow between those is when the roof line touches you,
Mhm.
and the gardening shifts in behind it and out beyond it, like, and so it's a gentle transition, but we know we're going deeper into the structure at that
Mhm.
point. And it's
And the
giving us
beauty of
cues.
that, like
Yeah.
to me, there's nothing as beautiful as that kind of gentle, blurry line that's so nuanced. When
Mm.
I mean, I feel different when I go into like, on a processional into a space.
Yeah,
There's a reason why
absolutely.
they have processional things. And then they have the facade with these smaller openings. So you have to make it through the filter.
Uh-huh.
And while the portico is not small, then you to this dome of the heavens beyond. And even just that building, I would go to that building almost every day. And it was just, then you kind of get it. It's like, okay, we have order, compression, we have symmetry, we have also the contrast of the columns, which is more masculine. That's like a physical, something you put out
Strength.
into space
hmm
versus the void. And
hmm
the inside is about the void.
Totally.
So that
That's the womb.
Yeah, so that building embodies both the masculine and the feminine.
Mm.
And it's so simple. It's literally two spaces. And I'm like, that's a masterclass in basic principles of architecture and
And
how they make
human
them work.
emotion,
Yeah.
and human emotion with it. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Everybody, book your tickets.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, we go. I mean, Rome is full. I mean, Rome is
of that.
full. Yeah, it never
Of
stops.
intentional architecture. Yeah.
Well, it's like they're designing like they mean it. They're building like they mean it.
What, like, not just to last 50 years, like our building code.
I mean, we're building junk, and we kind of know that in 30 or 50 years it'll get scraped and they'll build something
Oh,
else. And
shit. A lot of it should be scraped before then. It's so poor.
well, or it's all going to catch on fire, which we just saw in Los Angeles. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're trying to make the house is a financial asset, not a home,
Hmm.
then everything gets down to dollars per square foot, which is a race
Hmm.
to the bottom.
Hmm.
So you build the biggest possible thing with the least dollars, the
Yeah.
closest to the property line, and you ignore biology, ecology, geology, like ignore everything. I mean, of
Hmm.
course this is going to happen. It's horrible to.
Yeah, but you've got something fancy for the neighbors to drive past.
I know, but is it you? Like, why did you do it? And
Because
I
you
think that,
didn't know you. Because you
yeah.
didn't know you. Yeah. You knew a version of you that needed that. I have this thing also, like build better but build smaller.
Yeah,
And
1,000%.
yeah, get ourselves, no matter what the climate is, engage our climate and, give ourselves spaces that we engage with the climate. And, if you're in the snow, and obviously you're going to need heating, you're going to need these different elements to make it work really well. That's a given that we get that. And you're going to need refuge from, the outdoors, but being able to still engage with them, I go to somewhere like Wyoming or something, and I'll be, traveling with architects and stuff, and they'll have these huge picture framed glass walls looking, over the Tetons and outdoor porches and stuff that are engaging with this landscape. And I look at that on one side and they're beautiful. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're beautiful in the sense that they engage with the landscape. And then on the other side of it, I look at somebody who's almost living in a trailer home somewhere with a window this big, and all that out there is out there, and all that's here is what's in here. And they're not living with nature or in nature. And yeah, I mean, we maybe don't. I was going to say, I go to those places because of the nature of what it's going to feed me and be. And I think most people do. It's like when I'm like, you're in Joshua Tree. Wow. Like that's being in that place. I love being in cities as well. I love both. And they both give me different energy bands and fill me in different ways. Take me on a journey. I love the sacred geometry part that you bake in. Take me on a journey with all your next level of harmonics. Like, I don't reckon I know really anything about this at all. And you were touching on it before. It's like, a song builds and changes and it keeps coming back and having a chorus. And that creates security in the song because we don't get lost. We get a bit of a story and we get security. We get a bit of a story and we get security. And it takes us through there. And if we're lucky, we get a drum solo or a guitar solo or something that blows our mind, and then we come back to the rhythm of the beat again, those kinds of things. I always think live music versus recorded music is like that.
Oh yeah.
And you get to go to the higher space in live
Mhm.
music, and the artist carries you there. And in architecture, the same thing should be able to happen with
It does.
that.
It just happens over time because in architecture, time is stopped. So it's exactly the same thing. It's a series of mathematical proportions.
The
But
time has stopped. I love that.
well, even like Goethe said this, like architecture is frozen music.
Yeah.
But to better explain, like let's say you have 50,000 people and you're at a festival and you're seeing like the headlining band and you're there and they're playing the song and like the rhythm is the structure, right? You feel
Mhm.
safe. You know what's going to happen. It's like 50,000 people riding and catching a wave at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you are all surfing that wave and it feels so damn
Hmm.
good. And to
Hmm.
be in euphoria in community,
Hmm.
at night and the stars are out and the music,
Hmm.
like there's nothing greater. And people love and understand music. I said, well, if you understand music, you can also understand architecture, but you just haven't learned how to see yet, And so, but think about something like Notre Dame.
Hmm.
Notre Dame has similarly inspired people to tears, but it's been over, 1,000 years, one or two walking at a time. So the 50,000 people went through, but they went alone.
Yeah.
We don't experience architecture as a group. We experience it separately, individually, but it remains there throughout time, whereas music is attached to time. It's hooked to time.
Yeah. But also music, another artist can take it and rearrange it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you said, with architecture, once it's kind of built, it's built. You can alter it, sure, but then you alter it. You can't put it back to what it was either. Well, you can, but
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
The because we live in it, architecture very rarely doesn't. I'm thinking this is like sounds like shit now. I'm about to say it, so I'm going to say it and then try and correct myself. I think, you take the Parthenon or any of these amazing buildings. They don't need to be altered, and they should. They are a testament to time and perfection. Whether it was then or now or in 1,000 years, they will still be what they are. When we take a home, we have this space that as our society shifts things, and I was laughing with Paula Baker Laporte yesterday about, when COVID happened, all the cats went, "What the fuck are you doing in my house all the time?" You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
used to go out all day. Now you're here all
Mhm.
the time. It was okay
Mhm.
when you just came home and fed me and patted me, but fuck
Yeah.
off. The cats got stressed. And so this thing of as our shift in our behaviors, more people working from home, more of these things, our houses need to, well, maybe do or maybe don't. This is where I'm going, I'm talking shit.
I
Uh,
have a solution for you, though.
Go, take it away, because I've
You
said
ready?
enough before I dig myself a
No, no,
deeper
I was just,
hole.
excited. I wanted to jump in. So one of the beauty, well, the way I envision
Yeah.
rammed earth is a very permanent material. It can
Uh-huh.
last 1,000 years. You
Hmm.
don't remodel rammed earth. It's just there.
Hmm.
But you can do things like build in a panel that you can knock out to make a door if you ever expand. A lot of people, once you've made that thermal envelope with the rammed earth,
Hmm.
you now have a home that's fireproof, floodproof, bulletproof,
You've got to say
will be
that
there
for
forever,
Mercedes. It's bulletproof.
modulates humidity, but your
Yep.
interior walls can be anything you want. So if you want to build a tent city inside, and then your kids inherit the house and they want to make cob walls, and then someone comes and they want to make it out of, shoji screens,
Yeah.
you can treat the interior as something that can be remodeled kind of in perpetuity because we don't know what's going to happen. And just be smart about the delivery of utilities. Keep it out of the rammed earth walls.
Hmm.
Obviously, drain lines are in the
Hmm.
slab
Hmm.
or the floor, but I love electrical and plumbing supply outside of the wall
Yeah.
because if you run it in the ceiling or you run it in a chase or you run it in a wainscot or a base,
Yeah.
you have freedom. I mean, I love because who's to say in 200 years how people might live?
Well, who's to say that water and electricity would be delivered the way they are now?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And let alone, cabling and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think there's a way to have both, that you've created a beautiful, harmonic, gorgeous envelope that protects you and protects your family, that makes you feel good. But you still have the freedom to change and play inside.
Hmm.
So you're not locked in
Hmm.
forever. It's
Hmm.
not a Parthenon. You still have, I think it's like a 1 foot in each. Like your outside shares more in common with the Parthenon,
Yeah.
but the inside is still very human and a reflection of how you live. So
Yeah, and
split,
that
that's very
change those
Swiss.
changing times. I like that. No, I really like that because I go, we want to be investing in because we're putting it on, land, and they're not making any more of that. And we're going to spend a lot of money whether we do shit or whether we do good. Where it's
Yeah.
still going to be an expense. So why wouldn't we do the best we can with what we've got? And that might be budget as well as materiality and everything else. Why wouldn't we just be rigorous and do the best we can with that so that,
I agree 1000%.
yeah, yeah,
But also when yeah, so go ahead.
in hundreds of years, it's too valuable
Mhm.
to knock down. I say that it doesn't stop people from knocking it down. And there's this other thing about when it's right, it's right. So the timelessness of good design. So does it speak to its place as in materiality? Does it speak to its place as into weather conditions and those things? Like is the home consciously engaged with its environment? And if we can get that right, it gives it longevity, and there's no need to replace that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying to me when they were at architectural school, they said the thing that just blows them away is they would spend, days and days discovering a piece of land and who's lived on it before, what were like your First Nations people, whatever it was, who's what's happened on it before. You were saying about it down in the south, what's happened in that space before, and energetically understanding it as much as physically understanding it, and then with that, working with that knowledge. So I go to Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian prayer, and I go to that and I go, okay, so sometimes that land may need a certain kind of healing, other times that land may need a certain kind of structure or whatever for it to be its best land, rather, because we are going to alter it. That's a given. So what is it that we need to do to get there to make it worthy of the money and the dollars that are going to get spent in it? And how does that go from all this talk to sticks of lumber or pieces of dirt or pieces of concrete or whatever? How does it go from talk to that? And how do we do that with all that intention and meaning and hopefully get it as close to right as possible?
Well, it sounds like your heart isn't exactly like the right place to be like a true translator and understander. I mean, I think that's what we are. I think architects are
Mm,
meant to be translators. And I know how to pull an idea down and turn it into a 3D form. And the way I do that might be slightly different than the way you do it.
mm,
But it's like cover versions of the same song, like you're saying. It's
mm,
like we're doing the same song and just in different ways. And we are used to certain environments and come from different places. And all of that's beautiful and it's human.
mm.
So human. I like the idea that things are both perfect, but you also see the humanity. To me, that's the ultimate.
Yeah, absolutely. That to me is the absolute ultimate, and that comes to also when you're building with materials that will naturally weather over time and stuff, and maybe even need replacing at points. They're aging in place, they're like that, but they're
Yeah.
doing it with elegance, and there's something absolutely beautiful about that. The time that somebody's had to take care of it to nurture it to this point and beyond. It's like
Mhm.
that thing. You take a house, if you take any house pretty much, and you just lock it up for a couple of years and then come back and it's not the same house anymore. It loses its energy
Mhm.
and it feels abandoned. It loses its community or its whatever's rushing through it, and it starts to grow mold or it starts to give itself back to where it came from.
Yeah, to the earth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the earth says, "Well, you're no longer being used, so we'll take you back."
Mhm. Well, and
Um,
that's what the mold is doing, is trying to help us, really. You know?
yeah,
It's
right.
like returning it to the earth. It's like, hey, I'll help you.
Or
Oh,
get
sorry,
on with the
dog's
job.
barking at the door. We just opened the door. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry. Wow.
It's all good. I
Okay.
just paused. Yeah, that's fascinating. Okay, so now I derailed us because I could keep doing this for a month, I'm
I
sure.
could talk to you for a million, yeah,
Oh,
a million
yeah,
hours,
yeah, yeah. Exactly, me
but
too.
not hard.
Take me through the harmonic piece of the geometry with harmonics. And look, if you go to your website, there's a whole piece on this on your website. And one of our, senses is hearing. And for those of us who are gifted enough or lucky enough to have hearing, take me through the harmonic sort of like piece that you do with architecture. I'm fascinated by it and yeah, want to learn like.
Well, I think, this started with studying temples, really. And you were talking about the different types of temples, whether it's like, a stupa or it's a Hindu temple, or
Mhm.
we're looking up into a dome or a mosque. a lot of these things are very similar. We're looking at the dome of the heavens with these incredible geometries. It's like we're looking at a flower, we're looking at a star, we're looking at a snowflake. There's something about emergence from a central point and this beautiful, like the mandala. It's all the
Mhm.
same. It's all the same, right? And this is during the pandemic or when the pandemic started, I had become attracted to those cymatic images where they play a hertz frequency in a vessel of liquid, usually round, and then the surface begins to flutter and they take pictures of it.
So
And it
they
makes these,
hold on. They take my heartbeat. You said a
or just a
heart's
town, it could
frequency.
be like
Oh,
67 hertz, you know?
right, cool. Yeah, yeah, I'm
And
with you.
they play it in this little dish,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and then as they up basically the amplitude,
Hmm.
at a certain point, the waves start to get in sync with each other.
Hmm.
And as they get in sync with each other, they start to produce these incredible geometries.
Hmm.
Like it looks like a cathedral ceiling, it looks like a flower, it looks magical, and you start to see all these lifelike forms in it. It looks like, mushrooms and aliens and you know what I'm talking about? These
Hmm.
sound images. So I took a class in this as we did during the pandemic, taking online classes, and it was a physicist on the East Coast who studied these and, kind of taught us how they work, and he was photographing them. But when I was looking at this, you know how those images flicker?
Uh-huh,
As
uh-huh.
an architect, I understood that we weren't looking at a changing 2D image. We were looking at a three-dimensional shape that was cycling through the surface of the liquid. It was like taking like an MRI
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
of the object, but that meant that there was an object that was getting sliced. And that object was a geometric shape that embodied, when the Hertz frequency met its harmonics, that's when these beautiful forms emerge. And
Right,
so I
so
thought,
sorry, I got to get this in my head. So when the Hertz frequency, we can't see the Hertz frequency until we put it into something. So in this
right,
case, you put it into water, say, in a dish. And then when it hits a certain harmonic resonance, it shifts from being maybe, I'm going to say
yeah, this
chaotic to this.
exactly.
I got
Because
to go and
how
look at this. I've got to go
how
and look at this.
resonance works is, let's say you have a wave, like a simple sine wave that's going up and down.
Uh-huh.
You add another one going up and down.
Uh-huh.
If the others coincide and you add them together, it becomes twice as far up and twice as far down. So it starts to amplify the wave. But imagine if one was off sync with the other, it could effectively cancel it out.
Yeah,
If the sine
100%.
wave was in the other way. So that's just, I mean, all of this is just physics, it's just math. So what you're trying to do is get waves to align. So when things align, and the way a harmonic works is you take a note, let's say you have a string on a guitar,
Uh-huh.
you pluck it, then you put your finger exactly at the 50%,
Mhm.
halfway mark, and you pluck it. It's the same note, but one octave higher.
Right. Gotcha.
Right? So that is the first harmonic. And
Okay.
so when you pluck a guitar string, it will also trigger these other harmonics that are simultaneously playing, which, not surprisingly, you can divide a string into two and you get the octave. You can divide it into three and you get the fifth above the
Yeah.
octave. You can divide it into four pieces. So it's one, two, three, four. This is Pythagoras,
Uh-huh.
It's been known forever,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's like, well, why can't we do this using architectural software? We have modeling programs that do algorithms. I
Yeah.
mean, let's use this technology. And, I learned to draw by hand. I
Hmm.
knew I had to learn rhinoceros, which I'd never tried before. I had to learn grasshopper, which is the algorithm plugin for rhinoceros, but there was a pandemic and I was locked inside.
So you had time.
So I just got courses on, Udemy, and I got a tutor, and I just spent years just trying to figure out the software. And what I wanted to do is have a point source with a sine wave emitting a sound. So you decide the angle of the
Yeah.
wave, but you're bouncing it off of the perfect proportions of one of these Renaissance churches.
Right.
So basically, you have a sacred geometric
Uh-huh.
container
Uh-huh.
that is the embodiment of geometric perfection, and you're bouncing the sound off of that. What will happen?
I don't know, but if you got photos, are you going to share what's going
I
to
do.
Well, hold
I
on, I
do.
can allow you to share
Oh,
1 second. Far out. Yeah, yeah, you've just blown my mind. You've taken me into so many different places. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I feel like my day's gonna be, I don't even know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be good, but I don't even know what it's gonna be. I'm spending the
well,
day
here's
with
like
Paula.
here's
So I'm gonna look at all the projects I go into of mine and go, Yeah, Adrian, you really undershot that.
So
Where's
just,
this stuff in my project?
I didn't draw anything in this. So I
Uh-huh.
literally, I emit the sine wave, I
Hmm.
choose the angle. And what's interesting is that you play with the amplitude and frequency and the
Uh-huh.
shape of the container, and then it hits a harmonic. So the one I'm going to show you, I didn't draw anything. I carved pieces out of it so you can walk into it.
Yeah, cool.
But
Oh, wow.
this is music.
Hmm.
I didn't draw
Hmm.
anything. I mean, I made it look like it's a temple and you can walk into it because I was
Hmm.
exploring, how can we use this?
Yeah.
Let me find another one if that makes sense. So I'm just, these shapes look like artichokes or flowers or body organs. And then you look at that and you're like, I have no doubt in my mind that flowers and fruit and every living creature is actually made of music because you see how music births form.
Hmm.
And have the mathematical proof of it.
Yeah,
Like I'm sitting
wow.
at my computer with an algorithm. I'm like, I'm not drawing anything.
Yeah, right. Maths is drawing it, but with
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was
How
just one of them.
how fascinating.
I have so many of these things. I don't have more like loaded in the thing, but I'll
Yeah. Yeah,
wait till it looks.
well, here's the thing. You've got them on your website. So let's encourage people to go to your website. And then also let's encourage people to go and listen to your podcast, which is 4D Design.
Yeah, 4D design.
Yeah,
Um,
4D
and
Design. And it's on everywhere. Yeah.
yes.
You produce it everywhere. And every couple of weeks or so you drop an episode. But you want to well, not even a deep dive. It's a deep dive because you're going to dive in. You can't not that once you go into the lift the surface on Andrea, you're in. But go and listen to her lessons that she gives there, and yeah, take yourself on this journey because it'll change your life forever. It will shift your thinking, and if it doesn't, wait a year or two and then go back and listen again because you might have evolved enough to get there. But that's fascinating. Share me some other pictures
Okay. Okay. I have
of
lots of pictures of things. So
cool.
maybe it's
Let's
not
do it.
all, not all resonant. So
If you're
I'm also,
if you're just listening, go to YouTube when you get a chance and look at these. Otherwise, just listen. And if you can close your eyes, not if you're driving, imagine.
and just to explain my work in general. So what I got out of kind of the spiritual approach and, leaving architecture, fleeing from it, not believing in it anymore, craving that emotional and spiritual connection, my work kind of went into three directions. So I said if architects can heal people, and I believe that
Hmm.
not only but we must,
Hmm.
that it's our duty.
Hmm.
And I do believe that I'm a healer. And when you make a beautiful space that makes people happy, or a school that children love, or a restaurant where people go to get engaged, like
Yeah.
you're healing
Hmm.
humanity. So I took that approach. I said, how many ways can we heal people? So the building biology route was healthy materials, non-toxic, carbon front. Like, let's look at this. Let's look at passive design. And this led me to rammed earth, which I believe is the strongest, most wonderful building material.
Yeah.
And then the other part is then I got into, well, if I was doing this spiritually, then I would do these temples. And basically, all of those things made of resonance, I started applying them to textiles. I've turned them into ceramic tiles. I'm turning them into ceilings. So if you can have some of that music above you while you're going through a
Hmm.
still beautifully proportioned bottom.
Hmm.
But all of that is still kind of the landscape of the mind. And one thing I will put up, I do have an AR thing where you can take one of these shapes and just click on it with your phone, and you can see it through your phone outside. You can go
Oh,
and see
right.
one of these structures.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
I'll have that up so you can
I
play with it, because
I've
like, what
got.
is it like to walk through this? And then imagine if you had a place in your yard or in your community where you could do meditation or you could heal,
Uh-huh.
because we're never in a fully resonant environment. It's like it's not even possible, given how we build.
Hmm.
But if you could be in a resonant environment, because humans entrain, whatever we're around, we become more like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So it would follow that we would be more in resonance ourselves. It's like binaural beats or
Yeah. Gotcha.
tapping our toes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the presence of
Absolutely.
resonance, we become more resonant.
Yeah. Yeah, we are a product of our environment. If you go
Yeah.
back to just really basic, yeah, we
Well,
are
and
a
then
product of
get
our
into
environment. And
epigenetics. It changes our
yeah,
genetic response, which then becomes hereditary. So, I mean, the stakes are so high. And yeah, we were talking about, yeah, I mean, it's just we have this ability to heal and to ground people in this like overwhelmingly chaotic time, and it's not
Mm.
going to change anytime soon. Our phone is saying horrible things to us all day. The TVs are blaring, the internet is totally chaotic. So I think if we can create spaces that ground people and also help them to remember like who they are, what
Hmm.
their unique gifts are,
Hmm.
why they are special on this planet. Like the universe that created all the heavens created each one of us specifically because we were needed for something we're supposed to do. Like nature's not doing random stuff. It's
No.
like it's infinite intelligence.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And it constantly morphs and adapts and grows and shifts and changes. And, whilst it's got its staple things that it does, it it's constantly environmentally shifting as the environment shifts. And humanity supposedly does the same. Well, if it does the same, then it's got a chance.
But I think when we start making places that aren't based in ego, that are based in intuition, that are based in emotion, that help people ground, discover who they are, and then rise as leaders,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
able to affect change. And we're a part of that because we're taking ideas and making the physical environment, which is changing people's genetic response. It's a huge responsibility, I think, to be an
Yeah.
architect and a privilege,
Oh, an absolute privilege, and yeah. Don't get. I'm not going to go
Anyway,
down
so
that
we're
rabbit
starting
hole.
down
Yeah,
another
yeah,
rabbit hole.
yeah,
So
yeah. We
anyway,
are going to do it, but we're not going to do it now.
but back to my train. So I said, what if things are just physically healthy? And I can show you an
Yes.
example of that. So
Yeah.
I
Cool.
became obsessed with rammed earth, but also like, let's look hard at this. Let's come up with solutions that are efficient. Like we use the same
Hmm.
formwork over and
Hmm.
over again.
Hmm.
And sometimes people say, well, if I have a simple kit of forms, isn't my building going to be boring? And I said, look at, Lego and Minecraft caused the biggest explosion of creativity.
Yep.
Constraints are fine.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that. Just look at 8 notes in music. There's only 8 notes.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
With,
Everything's
four.
Yeah, everything's how you arrange them. And I think there was a piece
Exactly.
that you said earlier, which I think really resonated with me. It was like when you went into, say, the Parthenon or wherever it is, and there's suddenly the space, and I said, oh, yeah, like a womb. And
Yeah.
I go back to Eckhart Tolle, I go back to all these different people. The music's created by the space between the notes, not just the
Yeah.
notes. It's like
Yeah.
it's a combination, and I call it the God space. One of my great friends in LA, she calls it the Godiverse, so we'll call it the
Mhm.
Godiverse space.
Right.
That's
No,
what
but music
creates
does this
magic.
and
Yeah,
architecture does too. So
yeah,
actually what it's doing, what that space is you're neither in the past or the present, you're somewhere in between. I know
yeah.
exactly of that space that you're talking
Mm.
about. Architecture does it too.
I know I got that earlier from one of the pieces of our conversation. I don't know how many notes I've got here, but tons. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. Now I can go and experience that again and embody it as I live it. Show me pictures and
Okay,
tell us
so
about them.
this is like a radically healthy house. So
Uh-huh.
this was kind of a fun experiment of actually separating the roof from the structure, and then the roof is curved, and the roof is, I mean, the top roof is pitched, and
Uh-huh.
then the roof below is curved. So you have the Venturi effect to draw air across the
Yep.
volume.
Yep.
But it's also separating the waterproofing from the roof of the structure, which can be a simple a masonry vault, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So the building has tremendous mass, and then all of this is designed. These are actually greenhouses, like an earth ship. So in
Mm-hmm.
the winter, the sun goes in, heat is collected and let out into the residence, and then completely shaded in the winter. So this was just kind of a fun way of playing with rammed earth, passive design, earth ship. I mean, why can't we have all the fun?
Oh, why, if we're not creating fun with it, then we're not engaging emotion. And
Like,
and
what the heck
we
are we
use
doing?
fun as emotion as a word to describe emotion of meaning, but yeah, the fun and the thoughtfulness of it, take it however it works for you in that space. I know you and I both probably describe something that takes a lot of thought and a lot of hard work, fun, that's
Oh, yeah,
it's not just a
definitely.
party. It's yeah,
Okay,
the party is in the work.
well, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know it's funny. It's like I'm in a way in a prison, but a prison of my own making, and the one that makes me like
The most joyful.
the total joy and so much meaning.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm on a mission. Like I'm on a mission to heal people, and that mission can never be completed.
Mm.
And then so then it's like, okay, so then we're doing, yeah, the physical. I'll just show you one more in that camp,
Oh,
but
you can
a lot
show
of
me as many as you like. It's fascinating.
this is for a retreat center, and it's a rammed
Uh-huh.
earth. It's like a wagon wheel, and you enter in through one of the pie slices, and each of these is a hotel room
Oh,
around a
right.
central courtyard.
Uh,
And it's so simple to make, and it's infinitely strong because it's like the spokes of a wheel. But
mhm,
just to give people a sense of, that they belong to something, again, kind of ceremonial. You can see that like the
mhm,
lessons of Rome
mhm.
never really left me, or they can't. They're stuck in there.
No,
But
well, they're almost like that difference between a maybe and a law, like when
Mhm.
something actually it's discovered and it works and it is now and it will
Yeah.
always be because we understand it.
But it's also, this is just the geometry of the universe, and math is magical. And we didn't create math, we're discovering it,
Yes, yeah,
basically.
yeah, it's already there.
Right. So
we're just learning to understand it. It's
we're
just a
trying to understand it.
yeah.
Yes. And then the kind of the last part of it, or currently the last part, is I became obsessed with wall textures and getting really tired of plain white walls.
Hmm.
And saying, why can't the wall move? And, like in Feng Shui, we talk about qi and moving the qi,
Hmm.
and drywall walls tend to not move any qi at all. So I'm like, what if you need to like have some energy on a feature wall or just around a fireplace or in a niche or just around a doorway?
Yeah.
We've lost that tradition of ornament, but how can we bring it back? In Southern California, used to have so many tiles. And we had hundreds of tile factories, but between the Great Depression, World War II, and international style modernism, I mean, they're all gone.
Hmm.
But I just felt this burning need with no ceramics background whatsoever to create an architectural ceramics company that not only used the geometry of nature, so it's using sacred geometry and fractals, which we now know reduce stress. So what we're finding out now is that if you surround yourself with these patterns indoors, and design is always bringing nature indoors. Like all of the classical ornaments, it's
Hmm.
acanthus leaves. And, I mean,
Hmm.
that's all we do is we bring nature indoors. But like to bring not the picture of the leaf, but the geometry behind the leaf, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Share this.
And the geometry behind the leaf is something that we have in common because we're made of the same force that made this. So this is a tile, and this is Fibonacci spirals, and these are,
Okay,
hexagons.
so now while you're on this, can you use your cursor? So what we're seeing here is these beautiful green glass glazed tiles, and I want you to use your cursor so that people who are watching this on YouTube can see where you've got the Fibonacci spiral, and tell us about, even down to using the hexagon as a tile.
So thing that's fun about the hexagon is, and also all of our tiles are asymmetrical, so that you can make lots of different patterns with just one tile.
Hmm.
So you can have them all aligned exactly the same, or you can have all the points meet. What we did is we basically took the Fibonacci spiral, broke it into pieces, and then reassembled the pieces. But we wanted it to resemble a wave, and kind of waves behind waves behind waves, and kind of a suggestion of time,
Hmm.
or that there was an elapsing of time,
Hmm.
which I've never seen in a ceramic tile that talks about time.
Yeah,
It's my obsession with form. And so basically all of these curves came out of one big Fibonacci spiral, and
gotcha.
they were all put together. So in a way it's similar to what I'm doing with the resonance. It's one form that gets kind of harvested and repurposed and used.
Yeah, right.
But in doing so, it becomes very harmonious. But what I like about this is it's visually a lot, but it also simultaneously calms you down
Yeah, right.
because it's natural. And then also when your eyes go left and right
Hmm.
across the surface,
Hmm.
trying to figure it out,
Hmm.
it's just like EMDR. And it's like what you do in nature, and that helps, balance,
Yeah,
the two sides of your brain, which helps with emotional regulation. And
yeah,
then
wow.
because fractals are all spirals, now we know that that is a sign. They call it self-similarity. But the analogy I use is, you're in an airport full of robots and all of a sudden you see your family. Like that
Yes,
relief that you feel.
yes. Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha.
So subconsciously, we feel that when we see this. And I'll pull up another picture.
Yeah.
So even though you can't tell what's going on, and not all of them are so busy, some of them are. Like this is based on insect wings, and these are
Oh, wow.
pentagons.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
But it's
right.
the idea is your brain, it's also, how a lot of painted tiles you focus, you're like diamond, diamond,
Mm-hmm.
flower, flower.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what if we atomize that? and your eye is everywhere.
Yeah, this is it's doing for me is that beautiful thing when you see the reflection, say, in a puddle of water. And as the clouds move across, say it's sunny, and as the light moves across it, everything changes and everything
Yeah.
shifts. And as the wind just touches it, this takes that particular one just takes me to like a light breeze across the sea. Maybe that's me being really basic because it's got that blue-gray tone, but a light breeze across the sea, and there's just little pieces playing. It's not, yeah, I find it, as you said, like almost very restful. Like, do you know what's weird? As I go, there's a piece of my mind that's trying to find the pattern. I can feel
Right.
that. I can feel
Yeah.
that going on. There's that nearly a circle in there, and I'm like, oh, right, okay, cool, got it. Yeah. No, I haven't. Oh, yes, I have. No, I haven't. And it's that,
Well, and
but
this is only
it's
two tiles. There's a right hand and a left hand, basically, and the
yeah,
right and the left,
right.
right and left. So when people come in to see the tiles, they start touching them, they start petting them.
Yeah, I can. How could you not? How
But
could you
isn't that
not
funny?
engage?
I don't have a physical relationship with drywall, you know?
Yeah.
But I was like, what if that's the bar? Like, what if you had a house that you walked in and you started petting the walls, you know? Like
Rammed
physically
Earth's
present.
like that. And
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
there's a fabulous company
Exactly.
here yesterday called Mineral Fox. And I was with Carmen, the founder of Mineral Fox. And I took Paula there and we were both running our hands all over the walls. And yeah, sure, we're a bit nerdy, but beyond that, that's the thing that happens. And, she had one that is made with crushed oyster shells.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, like a lime and crushed oyster shell coating, and they're using this in some really significant buildings in Australia. And with it, one of the things that you do is you just reach out.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
need to tactily,
Wow.
you can't not reach into it because
Right.
it's just got this magnetic energy, and it's where we were doing it, it was on an off-form concrete wall, but you want to
Mhm,
reach and feel it, and it's like your tiles. And the thing that I see in your tiles there, that there's these glass glazes, and so then every
mhm,
piece of light gets to play.
mhm,
Every piece of light comes in and it reflects back. It's like the sparkle in your eyes. It's like
mhm,
that. Instead of it just absorbing you, it plays back with you. It gives in as well as absorbs.
Well, and they're all made by hand. So you see like fingerprints, the glaze is slightly different. We tried more automated things and it kills it.
Hmm.
And so it's this kind of, eccentric material. I mean, these are just kind of fractured kite shapes that make up a hexagon.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
idea is like
Wow.
the imperfection that is us
Yes.
and the fingerprints and the brush strokes and the edges that are uneven and clay is like us. So
Hmm.
again, it's like the geometry of nature, but seeing us in it. And the bigger message of that is if we can see ourselves in nature, like when we feel at one with the ocean or
Hmm.
whatever, we feel that we are
Mm.
home. Like we are at home. We are home here. And I think that's, to me, it's like that's why people feel so lost, so stressed. We never get to be, well, in America, nobody lives near their family, or families are fractured
Hmm.
or stressed.
Hmm.
Everyone does their own thing.
Hmm.
But if you're home, well, if your home could let you know that you're at home in the universe and how valuable you are, and how clever you are and how strong and how brave and like that, the building can do that. And I think if it worked for the Romans, like I'm powerful, it worked.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
work for us too, It's not new technology. So,
No. Isn't that just a fascinating concept in itself? Just, I have this concept that I go when I go to a site, I put myself into my alpha brain waves and I say, you, I talk to to the site and I say, you tell me what you want from me.
yeah,
You,
beautiful.
you, you tell me and
Mhm.
I'll wait to hear you.
Yeah.
And there's something magical about it. And it all not started, but I kind of got the first realization with it. I was talking to an architect, and he said, "Well, you walk onto a site and you look around, and then next thing the house builds itself in front of you." and in your mind. And I'm like, yeah, I do know that's exactly what happens. And then you start playing with that and you start
Yeah.
questioning what it is. And then I went, well, is that is that me and my ego, or is that the site that's actually saying, hey, you could do this. This would honor me, you know. And then I go right back to, we're going to alter it. We're going to alter the land. We're going to, you know, change it. So if we're going to do that, what would the site really ask for? And, you know, you get into like so many different things with energy, you know, magnetic energy, all these different pieces to it. But with that, if the first pause, the first conscious breath piece of this work is to go, what would the site ask for? And then from the site, there's the analytics of it. Then what would the people who want to be on this site ask for? And how do we get both of them aligned? And then what you're doing is just taking it to the materiality, but then taking it to a whole nother level of how do we take the freneticness of life and surround it with, for a really brutal, horrible term, I'm going to say medicine, but it's not medicine. How do we bring the harmonics of nature in? How do we bring all these pieces in so that it holds the person or the people, that community, it holds them, it holds space for them, and it holds them physically to allow them to grow, not survive, but thrive. You know, how does,
Exactly.
damn.
Yeah. Holistic wellness. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, as you know, many of your
Yeah.
episodes are about holistic
Yeah.
wellness. We all, I mean, what we're realizing is that our health and our time are our only non-renewable resources. So, and back to your point about build better, not bigger.
Mm-hmm.
If the quality of your home is such that you live a beautiful, extraordinary life, that far outweighs having the bigger house that leaves you empty or isn't proportioned well or doesn't have a relationship with the land because you didn't leave enough space. So it's like, it's the same thing, you know? It's like, let's prioritize life and quality and
Yeah.
value the
Yeah.
humanness over the square footage, which, you know, sounds crazy to a developer's ears.
Well,
But someone,
it even sounds crazy often, I think, to a builder's ears, because the builder looks at a space and goes, okay, so we can fit, let's just say we've got, you know, 1,000 square feet. We're allowed to build, say, on 500 of it, and we're allowed to do that in 2 stories or 3 stories. So that means that we can do it in 2 stories. Let's just say if we do it in 2 stories, we've got 1,000 square
Mhm.
feet of floor space and a thousand
Mhm.
square feet of floor space at, let's just say, $1,000 a square foot. I'm
Dollars,
just
yeah.
making a figure up. Yeah, $1,000 a square. Yeah. So now we've got $1 million building or whatever I got to there in the math. And that means I've got a margin of, say,
Yeah.
20%. So I've got $200,000 margin in that job. And now we've just destroyed it. We've just run in a
But I mean,
circle
but it's
of
like, where did it
commerce.
get us?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it is. Everything's commerce, everything's a lobby, everything's who the person who's getting. They want us to tear our house down every 30 years because
Of
what will Home
course.
Depot and Lowe's do?
Yeah.
If we don't, what will the timber companies? I mean, the whole
Yeah.
thing, there's vast machines built on this. You know, even with basic biophilia, there's evidence now that it increases productivity 15%.
Mhm.
It increases the length people stay in apartments, the time people spend in restaurants. But then it decreases other things, like in hospitals, it decreases their use of painkillers by 20%.
Oh, don't put plants in hospitals then. There's a message.
I know, but I mean, but
I'm,
this is what we're all
yeah, this
against.
is, yeah.
We're at a turning point because does our health matter more?
Mm.
And the answer is going to be
It's,
yes.
it's going to
The,
be yes. It's whether we recognize it.
right.
It's
But
always going to be yes.
the early adopters are already sick, and that's why they're early adopters.
Yeah,
So the
right.
people who are building Rammed Earth now, their family is so sick, there's nowhere they can live, or they have to be in a trailer for a couple of years before that goes bad. And they'll do anything so that their family can be healthy. And within a couple months, health can be restored.
Mm.
But their immune systems have been wiped out. I mean,
Yeah,
mycotoxins and
yeah.
mold and all these spores are trying to dismantle your nervous system so they can return you to the earth, you know,
God,
doing their job. So
they're
it's
doing
like,
their job. Yeah, that's what they're
yeah,
designed to do.
yeah,
They're here to do their work.
exactly.
And the, yeah, that, look, I think the thing, taking it to the next kind of level of this is giving people the opportunity to dig in and understand and make a conscious decision of this. And a big part of that is how do they get to shift from the community that maybe they're mainly influenced by to the community that they could be influenced by, and then get that opportunity there. And there is people like yourself that are out there that are deeply practicing this and so on, like how do you continue with that? How do people, well, first of all, here, let's just do this. How do people access you first? And I mean, there's only one of you. So I know you've got a firm and they're all like you, but there's one of you. And then there's the people like Michael, like with Firewall, and there's people like Mercedes. And there's these, there's these groups of people that are like this around the world. How do people access you and that community?
Well, we're speaking a lot. So this weekend we're speaking specifically to people with, compromised immune systems and mold allergies. So there's a big convention in Phoenix. We're actually putting together a whole library of resources for people who just need to start living in a healthier way and moving towards this. We are making some stock plans available for people who just want to pick, they can customize it, but they don't need to spend a year working with an architect. And this might be for urban lots where they can fill in, but it's a 2-bedroom or a 4-bedroom or or a duplex or ADUs for income. So trying to create some solutions which are fast so the architecture is easier. We're also trying to figure out or working on a couple of those prototypes being very quick to build. So that people can get into a home because time is of the essence. So this isn't the normal, let's sit down and roll out, the vellum and sketch. This is my son is sick. So we're trying to roll out more resources and expand the ability, with Mercedes and with other builders to basically, mobilize. Because we know that, and I'm just excited this weekend, a lot of the people are doctors who treat these patients. They have nowhere to send their patients. Their patients can't even heal anywhere for long enough to get their labs in better shape so that they can start to improve. So they're in desperate situation. So the early adopters are always going to be a fringe thing. Like with electric cars, it was like the postal cart or a forklift because they didn't have the range.
Yeah, well, it was basically a Segway. Remember, like the Segway?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that was our first kind of like, popularized, and government took it on a lot, as a vehicle, like an internal vehicle for getting around the Pentagon or whatever it is, was a Segway, like, and you start to think like that. And then we transitioned very slowly from that to say electric cars and, and so on, leaving a mess behind us somewhat, but
yeah. Well, rammed earth, hopefully it won't. But the thing is, the more people who build with it, the cost will collapse because there will be formwork available that can be shared, that can be rented. We use bigger mixing equipment like volumetric mixers. This doesn't have to be expensive or difficult or long forever. It just takes enough people to join the movement. So I've decided to throw my hat in. I mean, I really believe in it as a material. And then my part in that is to do, these geometries of nature, like the geometry that works for the Romans. I put in every floor plan I do. There is not one piece of it that doesn't fit that scheme. Like I won't draw it. So all of these stock plans will be full of this.
Yeah, okay. I've got a question with the stock plans. That's always my question. And I take what we call project or you call production houses to the task on this. The first thing that we always look at, and I know you do this as well, is you go to your site and you analyze your site. And in this analytics of the site, we decide on the form of the architecture. And when we do that, that is our first informant. And clients in there as well, but that's our first informant, is how will that be and what will work. When you do plans and people can grab them and use them, I've never seen a home builder create a plan that is, this one's a northwest plan, this one's a southwest plan, this one's a whatever it is, southeast orientation or best for those things. And I'm not quite sure, I've wrestled with this a lot myself, and how, because we get topographical form as well, how to engage that so that you go, okay, well, so if you gave me your site coordinates, these are all the plans that would be best suited for that. These ones are the I don't know, the A, B with a bit of C or whatever it is. Da, 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 da.
Mhm.
And you may like the look of this one, there's the other one, but this
Mhm.
plan will give you the livability that you're looking for and the materiality we can control with like with what you're
Mhm.
saying, but it will give you the livability to the site condition. How do you do that?
So basically, I mean, in my mind, there's kind of two sets of site conditions. One is where you have freedom to orient the house in a
Uh-huh.
specific way
Yeah.
or move it about on the land. And the
Yeah,
other is
it's
like an urban infill site. I mean, with an LA lot that's 50 feet by 150 feet, there's just you're filling a box,
uh-huh.
right? And you can still create courtyards and side gardens and,
Hmm.
ADUs or, granny shacks for rental purposes. So it would be various flavors, two-story, one-story. So that's kind of one condition. And the other that you're talking about, this is on the land, we can change the
Hmm.
orientation.
Hmm.
I do imagine that all of these would come with basically tailoring. So
Yeah.
you buy this plan, but then there's a limited architectural scope of tailoring it to your condition. So then you could deal with southern exposures and the depth of the eave
Yes.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my
and stuff
thing.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you have to get it tailored. So just like buying a suit off the rack, you have to go to the tailor and then
And
it
just,
fits.
yeah, got you. Because, yes,
And then
I was talking to Paula about this yesterday, the same thing. And she came to the same conclusion. There is the tailoring. There is that final fitting,
Mhm.
that nips and tucks for the
Mhm.
individual,
Right.
just like you would with clothing.
And I would say too, a lot of these that we're doing are small and they're just meant for people to move in quickly. These aren't, we also design custom homes
Custom
that might
homes.
be,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5,000 square feet or, whatever they are. But a lot of these are, let's say it's a fourplex with shared walls so that we have like plumbing just drops in two locations,
Hmm.
very efficient fourplexes, and these are all 1,200 square feet, 1,500 square feet. So these are something that could be on a piece of land, but
Yeah.
they're efficient, they're small. It's more like a hotel typology.
Hmm.
In that case, there's less reading of the land and that personal relationship because some of these are built as a place for like a haven for
Yeah.
people to come if they're healing, and they eventually won't live there forever.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
safe.
It's a stepping stone. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that you can have a different type of geometry. It can be a little bit more extreme and purely geometric because it's more of a hotel. If
Yeah.
it was a home, you get into the more practical aspects and how big is the laundry room and
Sure. Sure.
where's my son
How does
napkin
it
on.
service? Yeah. How does it
Yeah.
service and everything?
So I would say
Look,
that we're at the bulk end.
yeah, look, I know that we've scratched the tiny scratch on top of the scratch here of
Yeah.
what you can offer people and the community that you move in is offering people, that it's the kind of thing that I just wish everybody could hear so that they could go, okay, I need to start a journey of understanding for myself to grow and be nurtured by the spaces I live in, and work in and, communicate in and have community. And I do believe that our future lies in how this happens. And I believe that comes right down to simple things like modular homes and stuff like that as well that bring in these elements so that people live better lives and we get better community and better humanity from it. And it's our responsibility as people who draw pictures of houses to get us to get
Become
people
real.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them get built, or ideally all of them get built. I have a last question. I could have 1,000 last questions, but I'm going to just go to one of my go-tos, which is based on my emotional floor plan thinking. In your own home, where's your favorite space?
I guess my favorite space is I've made kind of an intentional nest for me in the living room, and it's a house from the 1930s that's built of
Uh-huh.
these incredible old kind of concrete blocks, which sounds grim, but they're painted and it's wonderful. And from this one spot, I can see through windows on all four sides of the house. And there's trees outside, and I can see Joshua trees, and it's just filled with light, and it feels like a tree house.
Wow.
And I have my nest and, next to, two huge windows. So
And
it's just light and sight and being held.
yeah, we had to add the other bit, being held. That's a key piece to that. So with that, if you had to give one emotional word that summed that up for you, what would that be?
It's almost about safety. It's like no matter what happens in the world or how hard a day might be, that I can go and sit and I'm just held, but I'm not held in like a hospital type thing. It's like light and it's delightful. And I just feel it's being held gently and lovingly.
And that's safety.
Yeah, but it's like an emotional safety, but not like if that makes sense. I'm not in a fortress. It's like I'm
Mm-mm.
in a treehouse. I feel like I'm in a
Mhm.
treehouse. And that it's kind of this remove where I have everything I need and I have all this beautiful light and yeah, I'm just held by the house.
And when you're held by the house, what does that allow you to be? What does it do for you? How does it change, or how does it allow you to be more of who you are?
Well, it's the place I sit when I write, when I journal, when I listen to things, when I read. Sometimes I'll like, knit or create something or paint. It's like a little creative spot, but I feel like if I was going to sit down and plan all my dreams for the next year, that's where I would sit. And
Wow.
so every word I write, I sit in my spot and I feel safe to put my dreams to paper.
Yeah, that's incredible. When you're designing for others, how do you find that spot for them of where that you, for you, that's intrinsic to who you are, that you
Mhm.
need that spot because it's the spot that takes all the wild energy and just pulls it down. And as you say, it holds you, you hold that energy, but you
Mhm.
can transform that energy at that point into something greater. So when you're doing it for others, how do you find that spot for them and how do you work out how the architecture will respond?
Well, it's interesting because it changes through the design process and it also takes time. So usually you're designing for a while and there's always like an kind of an ugly teenage phase to plans and to
I
building.
love
And
that.
it's just like it's a little awkward and it's like the house is getting smaller because it was too big and it's the wrong proportion and the roof's not on, all this stuff. I design live with people. So I'm in Revit and I'm rendering live time. So we're standing inside the model while I'm building it is how I design now,
Yeah.
which is kind of radical. I used to draw and then present it, and now I just go into space with them and start drawing or modeling
Damn.
around, and then we can fly through and go around. But what's funny is then there's a day when they fall in love with something,
Uh-huh.
and they might get so excited by this thing and they love it, like it's their bathtub or it's their master bedroom. They fall in love with this porch or this. But then my game is to constantly top it because once you start tapping into people, you figure them out, and
Mm.
now you have like a secret door to like the stair that goes downstairs, and then you've turned like this one house, there was like a guest unit below, and there was a bunk room. It had 4 beds, but it's all rammed earth, and we did custom millwork. And she was like delighted, and she's like, "This is the palace. This is the palace." And I was just so happy that in the bunk room of the guest unit, you know,
That
that she
you'd
could
that you'd achieved
enjoy.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she now feels that the house just embodies her, it embodies her family. It is
Mhm.
the message that she wants to leave on this planet. And she feels ownership because she was there as it was being made. And no, it's interesting. I mean, sometimes we just curve the corner of a couple rooms, just to soften things and move through. And then as we figure it out, we wash it through. But she was able to come along for the ride with no design
How
background.
brilliant
And
is
so
that?
much so that she has become a consultant to people designing rammed earth homes, and I can give her info as
Yeah.
well because now she understands the design process and about time and opening that relationship and entering into an open emotional space with your architect,
Love this.
you
I
know?
love this. This is
So
what
yeah, it
happens.
takes a
This is
while.
what happens when you get held.
Mhm.
Then you create a space to hold others.
Yeah. And then they
Damn.
hold others. Yeah.
Yeah. And continually, it just
Yeah.
keeps falling down. Just
Exactly.
processional value.
I hope so. I hope so.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I know this is the first of I don't know how many hours we're going to talk for in life, but a long
I
time.
hope so. Yeah, I can't wait.
Me too.
No, I'm just so
Me
excited.
too.
It's funny. I'm still like I'll realize later that I talked to you and I'll be more excited even
Oh
later.
God, I'm just like
Late emotional
I've
response.
found so many things here that I want to understand more deeply and grow from, and then be able to help my clients with, and then also, other people who are listening on the podcast, if it, just reach out, get in touch so that you can get more of this. If this resonates with you now, then grab hold. If it's going to resonate, or maybe it'll resonate with you in the future, in 3 months' time, grab hold. Whenever it is, grab hold, reach out into this kind of community and make the world a better place with what's been designed or what you want designed for you, because that's your mission in life. That's what you've chosen. Yeah. And you're one of many who have chosen to bring this to the world. And I think it's just so wonderful. Wonderful. Like,
Thank you. Thank you. It's
so
a joy.
good. Yeah.
It's really.
Yeah. Well, we will schedule some more chats, and I would really encourage people to go and listen to your podcast. And we'll post all those details and everything so that people can do that. But go and listen to it and just get another level of what you're offering, and understanding, so that they can start their own journey towards it, whether they're in this industry or whether they're people who want to be serviced by this design industry. Let's get that to happen.
Thank you so much.
I so appreciate all your time, your energy, your wisdom. Mind-blowing.
Thank you for wanting to share everything you know and opening the world of design to more people, because we have the power to radically change our life. And we might not understand that through color or texture or even some furniture or little moves that we can change our life, but we can.
Yeah.
Design is infinitely powerful, and it's used, by companies all day long. Let's take our power,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
heal ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for the work you do. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm blown away. As Gin said, I'm going to spend the day with Paula, so now I'm pumped. The poor woman. My mind's going to be going, just tearing at it. But she's up for that journey as well. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you again for sharing, and we will talk again sometime very soon.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen, and please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients, and let's make your heart sing. Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.